Pokémon Horizons episode 105 just pulled something that almost nobody saw coming. Some fans were hyped, some fans were enraged, but all fans were absolutely shocked. So in this video, let's review the episode and cover everything that everyone thought about it. Real quick though, we're getting close to 150,000 subscribers, so if you enjoy, feel free to hit the subscribe button. That'd really help me out, and I'd really appreciate it. Now let's dive into the episode. During a huge, dangerous storm at sea, Amethio finds himself struggling. But luckily Ludlow, sorry I mean the mighty G, he appears in the nick of time and rescues Amethio. Amethio wants to continue pushing onwards, even though he's not feeling well and even though the conditions are dangerous, but Ludlow reminds him that it's okay to be patient and to wait for the storm to pass. I think that's a nice little lesson for Amethio to learn. We all know he's going to be super headstrong with brute force and forwards now that he knows his path, now that he wants to stop Spinel again, but quite often taking a moment to pause and collect yourself can be a good thing. After all, even the fastest runner in the world would burn out if they never caught their breath. Ludlow then begins teaching Amethio how to make a curry and how to wash his clothes, because he thinks that doing this will teach Amethio that patience, and it'll help him refuel for the journey ahead. I really love that Ludlow wants to genuinely help Amethio here, and even though we all know that Amethio is a good guy now, I bet Ludlow still would have helped him even if Amethio was still in his villain era, because that's what superheroes do, and Mighty G is a superhero. Not gonna lie, if you told me 2 years ago that we'd get a Ludlow and Amethio buddy episode, I would have laughed you straight into the ocean. But here we are and I'm loving it so much. The youth learning from the elder is such a tried and true story beat and I always appreciate it, you know? It just feels good every time. Plus Amethio bonding with the other members of the Rising Volt Tacklers, that can actually lead to him feeling more comfortable to join them at the end of the series. So this is a W all around. It also made me laugh a lot seeing Ludlow fighting for his life to keep up his Mighty G form throughout the episode without collapsing, but it was all worth it in the end because now Amethio feels better, he's refueled to continue his journey forwards, and most importantly, being around Ludlow has taught Amethio to appreciate the comfort and joy in spending time with other people. Amethio is left smiling, even when Ludlow calls him a good boy, which absolutely made me die by the way. But yeah dude, what a beautiful first half of the episode. Everything we just saw felt like the kind of extra character development and focus that the writers didn't have to give us, but clearly they wanted to go above and beyond, and that tells you everything you need to know about how much they care about these characters. It really is such a treat. I feel like Amethio needed that, you know? Having some guidance and some help with someone much older. Amethio has probably been really lacking that feeling since his father is a deadbeat and his grandfather is the first half of that word. So yeah, Ludlow kind of taken on like a parental figure to Amethio in this episode. I imagine Amethio really needed that, you know? But then the second half of the episode shifted gears completely. It blew us away from the stormy seas and took us to a sunny beach. A sunny beach where a wonderfully snazzy and iconic Gholdengo surfs the waves and has everyone obsessed with him. All of our heroes are enjoying the beach day too, and it's nice to see them just letting loose and enjoying themselves, you know? They deserve a break after everything. But Dot on the other hand is sat in the shade. I mean come on, we all expected that, right? Dot has always been more of an introverted indoors kind of person, and she says that she doesn't like the ocean or swimming at all. But Dot then sees the Gimmighoul from the airship, and that Gimmighoul is watching the surfing Gholdengo, totally admiring it and inspired by it. The little guy is so happy and excited, blushing and everything when he meets Gholdengo. So yeah, basically Gimmighoul wants to evolve, but it needs 999 coins to do so. And hey, Dot is the only person at the beach who isn't doing anything. So Gimmighoul latches onto Dot and keeps tricking her to collect coins for it all throughout the day. That really made me laugh. But then, later on, Dot notices that her Quaxwell is watching everyone else having fun enjoying the ocean, and it's obvious how bad Quaxwell wants to join in. So Dot knows what she has to do. She faces her fears and breaks out of her comfort zone and goes surfing with Quaxwell. This really does say so much about who she is as a person, man. She's willing to break out of her safety bubble if it means making her Pokemon happy. And that's such sweet character growth for her. She never would have done that early in Pokemon Horizons. But then, when Dot and Quaxwell go surfing, they realise that Gimmighoul is on board too, and he begins mimicking Gholdengo surfing the waves. Dude, I love little Gimmighoul's personality. He's so cheeky and mischievous and playful, and that comes across so clearly in this episode. After Dot, Quaxwell and Gimmighoul do more surfing, Dot really notices that Gimmighoul is admiring Gholdengo. The little guy can't keep his eyes off that cheese string looking fella, so Dot realises that Gimmighoul must just want to evolve, and that's why it keeps tricking everyone to collect coins. That clearly touches Dot because when Gimmighoul falls into the water water, Dot immediately dives in, facing her fears and going past her comfort zone, and she saves Gimmighoul. That tells us everything about how much she's grown to care for the little guy in one day. And so, because of that, it feels totally natural and right that evening Dot has a heart-to-heart with Gimmighoul. She tells Gimmighoul that she wants to help it collect coins from now on. It doesn't need to keep tricking her anymore, because now she understands its dream. And because of that, Dot holds out a Pokeball and Gimmighoul excitedly dives in. Everyone is so happy because Dot got a new Pokemon, and Gimmighoul is so happy because it got a permanent slave. All's well that ends well. I already spoke a lot about why I adored the first half of the episode with Ludlow and Amethio, so I won't yap any more about that, but I do have a lot to say about the second half of the episode. First of all, the elephant in the room. Dot caught Gimmighoul, dude. I can't believe it. This absolutely shocked and stunned everyone. For the past 2 years, everyone thought that Roy would be the obvious person to catch Gholdengo. Up until the preview for this episode, nobody really saw it coming that Dot would be the one to end up catching it. That was such a huge surprise, dude. It was so unbelievably unexpected. It feels so fitting though that the capture episode of a trickster Pokemon like Gimmighoul, that the writers would trick us by giving the Pokemon to someone we didn't expect. And because of that, the reactions of people watching it live in my Discord server was so massive and crazy. It was so much fun. But when I think about it, this capture really makes a lot of sense too. It fits so perfectly that Dot wouldn't want to do the typical beach day stuff, you know? Because she's an indoors introvert. So Gimmighoul realizing that and capitalizing on that opportunity to use Dot as a slave to find coins, that matches Gimmighoul's mischievous nature, and it gives Dot something to do at the beach in the process. It's so in character for both of them. And I also love the idea of the ocean surfing gremlin being paired with the web surfing gremlin. They're both surfers, just on 2 totally different browsers. By Dot pushing herself out of her comfort zone and going surfing, that allowed Gimmighoul to get closer to Gholdengo, the one it idolizes, which in turn allowed Dot to see who Gimmighoul truly is as a Pokemon, which then led into the capture so perfectly. It all felt so right, and I can't wait to see more of this duo. And to be honest, it feels like there's a pattern going on lately. First, Liko catches Charcadet after we thought that ship had sailed a year ago, and now Dot has caught Gimmighoul after we thought that ship had sailed a year ago too. It feels like the writers are quietly tying up loose ends that they missed the first time around. But now it's time to talk about the other elephant in the room, Roy not being the one to catch Gimmighoul. This brought out quite a fair amount of frustration and anger in the community, and I expected that, to be honest, because Roy catching a Gholdengo has been a hot topic and a big want from fans for 2 years now. Gholdengo has been that Pokemon that everyone just assumed Roy would catch someday, just like Armarouge was for Liko. And I understand why some people feel a bit annoyed. I must admit, Dot catching Gimmighoul does feel very abrupt and out of nowhere. It kinda feels like this wasn't the plan a year ago. After all, in Gimmighoul's debut episode all that time ago, Roy and Gimmighoul were the main focus. It felt like it was building up to Roy catching Gimmighoul, and even when Gimmighoul returned a few weeks ago, it felt like Roy was the biggest focus again. It was like the writers have been setting up Roy to catch Gimmighoul for a whole year, but then today, Dot randomly swooped in and caught it instead, so I do get why some people are disappointed. I feel like this might have just been the writers trying to genuinely surprise us, to subvert our expectations and be unpredictable. And to be honest, I'm totally fine with it. After all, Roy still has a whole Lucario who has received no focus, no backstory, no development. Giving him another Pokemon already before Lucario gets anything? That would suck in my eyes. So hopefully now we can actually get Lucario focus, and Dot can actually feel like she's caught up again to Liko and Roy by having a Gholdengo. The writers really fed 2 birds with 1 scone. So yeah, overall we've continued the streak of perfect Amethio episodes and perfect Dot episodes with this Amethio and Dot hybrid episode. Both halves taught our heroes valuable lessons, patience and company for Amethio, stepping out of your comfort zone for Dot, and I've gotta say, the way the writers managed to thread consistent growth for the characters even in a beach episode, that's so impressive, and I couldn't have asked for anything more than that, along with a twist Pokemon capture that nobody saw coming. So let me know your thoughts on episode 105 below, and feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoyed my review. If you want to go above and beyond, feel free to join a Discord server or become a channel member, both of which you can do in the description. And thank you so much to my amazing channel members for all of the support. Jay, Dowpals, Toten, Shiny Charm, Juscadia, Blazing Shots, Not Mini, Racco, Zach, Pokesan, Hope. And on that note, thank you all so much for watching, and best wishes until we meet again!